So hello everybody, it is me, Demetra K, and I'm sitting here with Corliss. I don't know if Donovan will be joining us, so he had an appointment, but if he does, he will come on shortly. So I should say the purpose of the Demetra K show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like to say a big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Not only are you viewers, but you are family, and sometimes I share the link. If I share the link and your profile looks like this, please show me this. And if you're not comfortable, you can go back to that. There's no, especially if I've never seen you before, you must show me your face. Also, for the comment section, it's not that we disagree, it's how we disagree. So let's try to be as respectful as possible. And the same thing here on the panel. Today, we're going to be talking about a subject that's very, very touchy. So I want to say to everybody in the comment section and on the panel, let's try to watch some of the things we say so we don't get flagged, as it is very sensitive. And I'm going to try my best to water it down as much as I can. But we're talking about Naziah Harris deserved better from family and those who failed her. Now, of course, a lot of y'all probably been seeing what's going on in the news in regards to Naziah Harris. I'm going to do my best to give you a synopsis. I'm also going to play a video from a judge who I think will sum it up, so I don't really have to. And so Corliss is going to join us for this conversation. As her and I have been talking about this over the last, couple of days. And of course, I covered this, I want to say maybe a year ago when we kind of first learned all that there was to learn about it. So again, this is a very touchy conversation. Again, I want to just let everybody know in the comment section on the panel, let's please try to handle this situation as best we can. But more importantly, I want to know what we as a community need to do to avoid this from happening in the future, because unfortunately, as we speak, this is going on somewhere, not even just in America, but throughout the world, where little children are being abused in plain sight of everybody, especially those that should be doing their best to protect them. So let's see here who's in the comment section. Don't need no man. Stop telling me I do. How you doing? Kara Rance, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Brother Dom, my triple OG moderator, how are you? Simo, what's going on with you? And Charmaine, how you doing? I hope I said that right. And Troy, how are you? And Matthew, what's going on? Your average logical thinker, I hope you are having a great day. And thank you for all that you do moderating the comment sections. So Corliss, how are you doing this fine afternoon? I think as I said that to her, she froze up. Oh, there she go.
Hey guys, I'm very disturbed with this one here. I don't know how we as a people, adults, drop the ball with this. Like me, myself, I'm good. But this whole situation, hey, it's wild to me. And it's not just we gonna get into it, because we ought to be ashamed of ourselves.
And we absolutely are about to get into it. I'm going to give everybody just another 30 seconds or so. I saw Donovan tried to pop up. Not sure where he went, but I'm sure that he will be back. Now, I will say the video I'm about to show you is about 6 minutes long. It's condensed. It's actually the judge's statement. Now, normally, I try not to play videos that are long, but I thought this was important because the longer version of her statement is 11 minutes. But the key points of the video are in there. But I think what she is saying is very riveting and captivating. And I think it's something that we all need to pay attention to because it's very important. So, and I'll give you guys a refresher course if you guys, we don't get the gist from the judge as to who Naziah Harris is. But the judge, I think, is going to do a good job. And again, we'll recap it here. So I was trying to wait for Donovan to pop on. If he doesn't, we'll just continue on here. But I'm going to put the video up. You guys ready? All right. Here we go.
I don't know where her mother is. I don't know anything other than that she was forced to live in a home where she was not protected or given adequate attention and love. I don't know where her father is. I don't have any mention of him in her life, no presence. To Cordell, aka King, and all the men who saw Jarvis Butts hanging out and always around these young girls, including Isaiah, and his 9-year-old daughter going up to the shop to clean up his shop. There's no mention of CPS, but I wonder what their involvement was over the years, because this was not just a one-year thing. There are text messages at least from 2022 to her adoptive grandmother, Annette Harris, whose testimony, in my opinion, was very questionable. I understand why the people put her on the stand to establish Naziah's residence and the houses on Bedford and the regular routine, to establish also that Naziah was not a runaway child, that she was not a bad kid. But to always send those girls up there to clean up the shop raises questions. And how were there 2 women in that house who had birthed children themselves who did not notice that Naziah was pregnant, and I believe she was, and not having her period anymore? And what stood out the most was when Annette Harris stood on the stand, and she learned around 6 p.m. that Naziah did not come home from school, and said she looked around for her and decided to wait until the next morning to call the police. Without a tear, without emotion, or any expression of being devastated. And to her Aunt Shannon, who also showed no emotion, expression of being devastated from Naziah going missing. She stated that she had friends help look for Naziah, but was directed to just wait until the morning to call the police. A grown woman who likely suspected something strange going on didn't feel the need to call the police either. They were both able to go to sleep at night without hearing from Naziah or having any indication that she was coming home that night. As far as the people establishing probable cause, I will focus on count 1, as it's been stated that there is no contention with counts 2 and 3. In count 3, I will amend based off of the motion and the testimony I heard that Naziah was 12 and not 13 at the time that Jarvis Butts had sexual intercourse with her. The prosecution is correct. You do not have to have a body to establish first-degree premeditated murder. It would have been a much shorter exam had her body been found, but this is where we are. In the last 365 days, no text messages. We all heard today and yesterday that she was very active and frequently texting. No social media for years. We heard through testimony that she was also active on social media. No phone calls, which she was also able to do according to testimony. No physical sighting of her by anyone. She never came back to school. No one has seen her. Medical records dated from July 2014 to October 2023 indicate that she had no life-threatening medical issues that would lead to a natural cause of death. While this is still probable cause, the evidence all points to Jarvis Butts. His locations, him being seen with her last, the abortion searches, the abrupt silence between the 2 of them in text messages, and the constant lies he told throughout the entire investigation. We may never know what happened, but from what I heard today and over the last 4 or 5 days, it appears he intended to perform what he thought was a do-it-yourself abortion on Naziah and went south, and instead of seeking medical attention for her, he intentionally killed her and tried his best to cover it up. As much as I want her to be alive today, there is at least probable cause to show and believe that she's dead and that she was murdered by Jarvis Butts. Mr. Butts, stand up. You've been sitting over there for 4 days with your head down, sitting between and behind your attorney with your mask on and taking vigorous notes. I want you to pay attention and listen to everything I have to say. I have been trying to figure out for the last 5 days, you. At one point, I thought you were cognitively impaired in the beginning of this exam. And then maybe you had the brain of a 10-year-old, and that's why you were doing such things. But as I heard more and more testimony, you're just a true definition of a pedophile. Watching you laugh and brag about all the women you have with different women and the children and the girlfriends, and making babies to groom them, and having them in your presence, cleaning up your shop, and the little girls around you, has landed you here today. You groomed Naziah. You played mind games with her. We all heard that. You controlled her emotionally. She was exposed to so much at such a young age. The text messages between you two were disgusting to hear. And to think that she had you saved in her phone and begged for life. Naziah deserves so much more. And while I mentioned other people that failed her, Jarvis Butts, you are the monster in this whole picture. She did deserve love from her parents and everyone who was in her life. She was ignored, she was neglected, and you took complete advantage of that. She wanted someone to love her, and she will never know what that feels like. Your children deserve more. As much as the defense counsel has raised issues on count one, all that has done is raise the question of fact for the trier of fact, which means that this will be for a jury or a judge to hear at Third Circuit. I pray for the healing of all the victims and the young girls and possibly boys who have come into contact with you. As a community, we should look at this case as a prime example of how much work we have to do when it comes to protecting our children and especially our Black girls. I pray for closure and healing for all those who have been traumatized by you. And for you, Jarvis Butts, I wish you a speedy trial and that justice be delivered.
Okay, so I'm going to remove that. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a recap. So basically last year, I guess she would have been 12 at the time, Naziah Harris went missing. Okay, that's what they originally believed. She went missing. But then as things started to unfold, I guess it was known that Jarvis Butts, the man that you saw, that I loosely even want to call him, man, let's call him a monster because that's what she called him, was discovered that he was having an inappropriate relationship with Naziah. I won't say the word that he was doing, but I'm just going to clean it up. An inappropriate relationship with Naziah. As you heard the judge say, for lack of better words, he groomed her because in her phone, and there was a whole lot of text messages, and unfortunately, a lady, I guess, who handled the evidence had to sit up there and read the text message threads between them, and it's not for the weak. I'm just going to say that is not for the weak, but it was to the point to where Naziah called Jarvis Bae for life, right? She's thinking that's her boyfriend, and I want to say this before I continue. Those of y'all that are out there saying that Naziah was fast, she thought that was her man and all that other stuff, stick yourself. And I do mean stick yourself as from head to toe, because how dare you sit up there and try to place any blame on that child. Okay, I just want to just put that on out there. Okay, so it was discovered that he was having an inappropriate relationship with her. She, went missing. So as you heard the judge say, the grandmother and the auntie who, they were in care of, because it sounds like Naziah's biological mom's, drug addict and hasn't had her, I guess, since she was maybe about 2 or so. So they didn't know where she was. And as the judge said, they went to sleep that night, didn't think the reporter missing until the next day. Both of those, I ain't even gonna call them ladies, creatures, got on the stand. Neither one of them shed a tear. You can almost kind of tell that the auntie Shannon, that's the one she's talking about, was just kind of like bothered that she had to be there. Now, mind you, this Jarvis, so Shannon was the baby's mom that got 5 kids with him, and he's got a copious amount of other children out there, baby mamas. Now, during Shannon, the auntie's testimony, it came out that she had her children, and he was having children with different women all around the neighborhood at the time that they were together. So the auntie was still messing with him, even though he had all these women, right? Also, it sounds like in the text message threads, because Shannon got on the stand and pretty much said, I didn't know what was going on between them. It was an uncle, niece. Now, mind you, it's not even his niece, right? But that's kind of how she described it. It was an uncle-niece relationship. But in the text messages, they're like, well, you knew because it sounds like too, the auntie was fighting with Naziah, in regards to that being her man, and they was calling Naziah ugly. So they knew, these grown women knew what that monster was doing to her, but they continued to fight, with this little girl and demonize her, right? So they interviewed Jarvis, and he didn't know where she was. But then, of course, when they started to investigate and put the pieces of the puzzle together, he was the last one seen with her. Text messages saw that he, was going to be picking her up from school. Now, again, as you heard the judge say, they found in his history, search engine history, that internet history, rather, he's looking for ways to get rid of the baby. So it is speculated that maybe he tried and it failed, and then and she ended up Naziah dying during that, and then he disposed of the body or whatever the case is. To this date, they have not found her body. Now, his defense counsel, the public defenders, we'll call them that, we're trying to argue circumstantial evidence, like, well, this is just circumstances. There's no body. And the judge, she laid it all out. It's like, we don't need a body, because we saw that the text message threads, we saw that everybody knew, including the guy that he worked with, his partner, Cordell King, sounds like he's in custody too now, but they all knew that Naziah and other little girls, including his own, from what they're saying, will go up to the shop, and they were sent up there to clean up the shop, right? These little girls and all these people, hey, Donovan, let me put you on mute. All these people knew that these girls were up there, right? So nevertheless, the judge says, we don't need a body. We're just going to assume she's not here, because they found the sweatshirt that she was wearing that day. It had like basically puncture holes, in the sweatshirt. They also found her ID. Now, the lady who found her ID said, I've been walking by the ID, I guess it's kind of by the liquor store or whatever, somewhere for 2 weeks. She'd been walking by for 2 weeks before she decided to pick up the Naziah's school ID. And then she said when she flipped it over, she realized, oh my God, for lack of better words, this is, the girl that they've been looking for. So basically, as the judge was saying, we don't need a body. We got plenty of evidence saying that, Jarvis, the monster, did it, right? Did whatever it is. Now, I should also say, in September, they charged him with for lack of better words, inappropriate relationship with 2 other underage girls. One is an adult now, one is 11. Okay. It has also been said that he gave, and I'm not sure if the baby was 4 months old or 4 years old. Sounds like it was one of his own children, a venereal disease. Okay. Now, mind you, all of these women and all of these people, but let's put it at the feet of the women just right now, knew that he had all of that going on, and they still deemed him to be, and I'm going to get to you guys' comments in a minute, but they still deemed him to be an acceptable partner. Now, mind you, the auntie and some rumors, I don't know how true it is, maybe even the grandma, but a whole host of these women were with this guy, right? So they said that he had a propensity to get with women with small children, and that he had a history of grooming these girls, right? So of course he's saying he's not guilty. There's so many other things that we're going to talk about here, but as the judge said in the beginning, everybody failed her. CPS, she says, where were they? The school. There was a time where I guess Naziah was feeling sick, and she wanted to speak to her counselor or somebody, but her counselor at school wasn't there, and they ignored her. I think it was the same day, as a matter of fact, that she came up missing. So everybody ignored her. The women in her life ignored her. The men who, saw him hanging out with all these young girls, nobody cared at all. As she said, I don't know what the dad is. I don't know what the mom is. Everybody failed her. And again, to this moment, they have not found her body, but they also suspect that she was pregnant, and there's that. So Corliss, and I'm gonna get to you guys' comments. It's a lot, so I was trying to really just kind of not get into a whole lot of details, because it would make your stomach do backflips. So Corliss,
one thing that's most important to me, the system failed, right? CPS is a atrocious failure on all levels. And I can say that because I didn't deal with them over the years, a couple of years ago, and they're terrible. They place these children in the care of people, especially family members, non-family members, whomever, as long as they can put them in a bed and they don't have to be with them and they don't have to work overtime. I had my grandson, a monster, okay, is what I call him, because I won't even give him a name. And what he did to my grandbaby in 2 weeks. I get custody of him. They don't come visit. They don't call. They don't know when appointments are. They don't know what nothing is. And this is a little baby, right? How is it that you say that you are mandated reporters and you ain't checking on these babies? They don't go back and check on these kids. Oh, well, they passed the fingerprint, so they have a clean background, and them be the worst ones because they ain't never caught. Or the kids will come and say something has happened to them. Oh, they're a problem child. Or, oh, they have all of this baggage, but you're still deemed to check up on these children. I watched the video with the grandmother. All of them, including King, while he's sitting in jail, they all need to be prosecuted. All of them. Oh, yeah. And my auntie, girl, let me tell you something. I hope they watch it. I hope y'all watch this video. I ain't never, my self-esteem been low. And I don't give two hot hells how good a Negro look. And baby, if he was swinging the elephant trunk like I told D earlier, it ain't that much that you can give me that I can't get from a rose. Because if I find out that you messing with some kids, you might not make it from in front of my house. Because that's one thing I do not play about. How is it good looking, whatever, that you would pass up and feel like he deserves a second chance at life after you know damn well he didn't put his hands on one of his own kids, and the kid that he did she was 4 years old. This was his own child. And then you had the audacity to tell the police in an interview, not the police, excuse me, the parole board, another system, that the baby got a venereal disease from some clothes that was in the hamper. And you turn around and say, oh, we'll come back in a minute with a decision. And you let this Negro walk up out of a prison that he should have been thrown up under so he can do it again? Y'all need y'all jobs lost too. That makes no sense to me. You won't let people out there have been in prison for 45 years with marijuana charges, but you letting them out to touch kids? Y'all got to be crazy. I don't understand the system. And it's beyond broken, but until we hold all of these Negroes accountable, and I mean just show up one time with a sign, I mean you on their head every day, all day, until you see change. Because it makes no sense at all. They have to be held accountable. Just like they do with us, and half the time, they wrong when they bring charges up against us. But they still stick. Why? Because we're afraid to fight them. It's crazy to me.
Hello, everybody. I'm seeing your comments, and yes, his ghetto point of view. I think Corliss summed that up. Me and Corliss been going around about this last couple of days, and we're disgusted that everyone is not wearing green right along with Jarvis. We don't understand why the mama, the grandmama, and anybody else is not holding onto some jail bars as well. Donovan, how are you?
Oh, hello, everybody. Sorry that I am late. I have been dealing with the Corey Jackson situation in my community. As you guys that follow me on my page saw that I have some issues with the city mayor. Corruption is all in my city, and every time I think that I'm out of it, something comes up that pulls me into it. This is why you guys think that this is a joke. Life is not a joke. This is the real deal in what we're dealing with. And the devil is on the rampage. Literally, the devil is on the rampage. I agree with everything that Corliss has said, everything that you and Dimitri have said. I've kind of followed this story, and I was kind of shocked it didn't get as much coverage as it should get. But this goes back to lack of family values and the breaking up of the nuclear family by policies of the Democratic Party Party, and I got to say Democratic Party because most Black people are Democrats. And I'm going to have to admonish the community in this situation. I have to admonish the community, our community. Yes, the system is broken. Yes, the government is this. The government is that. We all know that. We're at the bottom of this economic scale. We know that these things, that when you have to depend on the government, somebody else, to provide for your needs, whose fault is that and how they provide it? Whose fault is it? The government's going to do what they're going to do. When I was growing up, Corliss is fairly young. Demetra's pretty old. Demetra, back in the day, this is serious. I don't mean to be joking about this. But back in the day, you couldn't just come into the neighborhoods and do what you got to do and, what was happening and stuff like that. When stuff like this happened within our community, it was dealt with. And we're not talking that religious dealt with, like, well, we gonna pray and we're gonna forgive him, not like that. No, people ended up missing. Limbs were lost. We had a lot of eunuchs in the community for some reason when I was growing up. For some reason, there was a lot of eunuchs. I mean, people did not play. But this is what happens when you get into all this liberalism. Don't say nothing, girl, whatever. We know right now, thousands upon thousands of young Black women are missing. I don't see anybody in our community really prioritizing that knowledge and things that are going on. In our community, we know there are a lot of young girls that are being preyed upon by 30, 25, 30-year-old grown-ass men. But we don't say nothing. We know Uncle Rufus in the family has a problem with pedophilia or whatever you want to call it, but we don't say nothing, and like I said, I co-sign on everything that Corliss is saying, but we as a people, as a Black people, have to stop relying on the government to solve our problems. We have to start getting back into the community and righting the ship and handling business for ourselves, because the government doesn't seem to even give a damn or even care. As long as we're self-destructing our own communities, they ain't coming in here. They ain't doing nothing. But you have this incident happen on Martha Vineyard, instant justice. So we really have to get back to basics. And I am sick and tired of hearing about these young girls missing, abused, I'm getting tired of it. And we all know what goes on in our communities, and we act like we don't see a damn thing. I'm just tired of it.
Yeah. And hello to everybody that's come on here. And I want to say this, it's been going on. It has been going on probably forever. You know what I'm saying? We all know somebody. My mama has stories. I'm sure my grandmama has stories, and they great grand. It's been going on right now. I will concede that, and I will say even too, there are times where there's men who find out about it, and they handle it. I'll just say, I got a different kind of daddy than most. You know what I mean? That's all I can say on here. But yeah, that it's. And it's not, I want to put this out here. It's not just our community. If this happens in everybody's community, but we're talking about our community. We have to do something about, because I want to say it this way. I'm trying to be careful how I say it. The auntie, the grandmama, and everybody who knew he was doing that, if they do not get locked up, all I'm going to say is this. They should not be able to walk outside without being reminded of what went on under their watch. You know what I mean? They shouldn't be able to go to the store. They shouldn't be able to go to the church. They shouldn't be able to go outside and take a puff of air without somebody saying, hey, you're an enabler. You're a monster, right? Like this is what we have to be dealing with. We have to stop, because as I said, this has been going on, sweeping this under the rug, or mislabeling the child. And I'll say child because it happens to boys too, as, oh, they wanted it. They fast, because that's even outside of Naziah's family. That's what's been said a copious amount of times on the internet about this girl. Oh, she thought that was her man, and look how she was talking to him, and all that other stuff. And the other thing I hate about the internet is we hear this word grooming being misapplied. There's a lot of times people say, oh, well, that's grooming. No, not necessarily. But Naziah is the definition of grooming, and everybody turned a blind eye, allowed it to happen because whatever reason, as Corliss said, they put a lot of stock into Jarvis. For whatever reason, he was able, not even just in Naziah's household, but households all throughout the community, because Naziah's auntie told a story about how, and this man didn't even have a car of his own. All these different women he was dealing with, he was in and out of their cars. She tells a story about how she would pick him up on a corner that was, I guess, central to the neighborhood, because he would more than likely been coming out of another woman's house in the neighborhood. So they all knew that this man was a monster and all the things that he done and was doing, and they all, in a way, were fighting over this man. But this, again, is not new. This stuff has been co-signed in our community forever. That's why I get mad when I hear about R. Kelly. I'm not saying R. Kelly's not a monster. I knew he was a monster before y'all did, okay? But the point that I'm making is y'all need a lifetime to, not y'all, but I'm saying them, lifetime to tell y'all that R. Kelly was a monster, but y'all go on the internet, talk about R. Kelly, but you don't talk about Uncle Kelly, Daddy Kelly, or the man that y'all play cousin, or whatever, that's coming in out of the house and messing with the girls. Y'all sweep all that under the rug, but then you get on the internet and talk about people you don't know. So that's the conversation we need to have, right? Now I get it. You might have a good girlfriend or a homegirl cousin. I ain't gonna say nothing. I know, that's her man. I'm gonna stay out of it. No, you need to beat her ass. Yes, I cuss. You need to beat her ass and let her know, after I beat your ass, I'm going to run my ass to 911, and I'm going to call and report a crime that you're allowing to go on under your watch, because this is your man that you would somehow find good enough to lay down with after you know what he's doing with the girls in the neighborhood. See, that's the conversation we need to start having, but this is not a new conversation. And unfortunately, it's not going to be the last. Corliss, and I'm going to get to you guys' comments.
So I'll say this. When I was younger, I want to say I had turned 15, and yeah, I was fast, right? When my uncle found out what my fast ass was doing with the man from the church at 30, oh, they showed up at a door. Okay? Made some phone calls. So I don't give a damn how fast you are. My ass slowed down real quick when all my uncles showed up at the nigga door getting dealt with. So it's no excuse, period, as a whole. And like I said, for the auntie, she knew. Oh, he deserves a second chance. I'm sorry, bitch. What? A second chance at what? Oh, you so thirsty. Cambino said it. I don't know if y'all watch him, but he said it so elegantly. You so damn thirsty for a man that you willing to date a Negro that you know is a rapist? Are you crazy? Girl, ain't no D that good ever.
And let me say this, some words we can't say on here because
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I get it. I cuss too, but
it just ain't. Girl, they sell plastic in the store. And the rate they going, you don't even need a Negro to look at you. Go get you a rose. Get the one that gets suction to the side of the tub. Utilize it. Because the way she looking, Jarvis wasn't just laying down making babies with her because she was cute. When my granny say men will sleep with anything, and I'm a woman, he had to have hit her from the back or upside her head. Because she ain't nothing if I was a man. I would have looked at her. She was paying them good. And just because they got kids, that don't mean nothing. It don't take no time to make no baby. It's really sad, and it's just very disturbing to me, because we have that mindset of, the Bible says we have to forgive and we have to love. Like if I was anybody that was doing anything to a kid, I couldn't love myself. So if I couldn't love myself, I damn sure couldn't love the next that's doing it. We have to do better. It happened to my mother. Her father showed up. This was his daddy. So it wasn't no sweeping up under no rug. He got swept up out that door after they two-pieced him and a few more pieces in the foyer of my grandmama and them house. They just didn't play them games like that. And then for your homeboy to know, what? Where do we do it? But see, you know what? That's today's society. Where it's okay, now you can be out here snitching and walking around. You could be a pedophile. You can do all of this. And then, like they said, what? The girl called the police, they ain't do nothing. And I don't even say this. I believe in street justice too. But sometimes street justice don't need to happen to the point of unaliving. You need to give him a due diligence of service. Let them lock him up. He's gonna go to PC, but they gonna get him there too. And I don't say unalive him. I say whoop his ass, let him heal, and whoop his ass again every day. Because giving him street justice is too. That's a leniency for all the stuff that he's done. That's an easy escape and a route out. No, sir.
Donovan.
Oh, I just want to say this to kind of add to it. Are we going to be opening up the links? I think some people have some things to say. Just a question there. Let's let our co-host reread some of the comments from our co-host so we can see that. But Corliss, as always, sums up everything so nicely.
Kara, I'm gonna put the link in the chat for you. So give me 1 second to do that. Hold on, you guys. Donovan, can you take over while I do this?
Hold on. Reba says usually 3 minutes for a 90-second man. Girl, these men ain't doing 90 seconds, honey. If he's screwing all the women, he got 13 babies. Baby, she legit ain't even holding him to standing. It just, well, it's.
You know what, Corliss? I got a question for you, though. And I know a lot of women don't agree with this, but a lot of Kevin Sams, a lot of people are saying 20% of men, I guess what the number is, those are the men that are having babies with a lot of the women, not all the women, but a lot of the women. Would you agree with that? Because this guy is a prime example of, a POS in the community, and women are having babies with this man. And man has no job, no car, whatever his situation is. And there's something where he's having all these children and doing what he's doing in the community. Would you agree that is there a man shortage in the community, or what do you think it is?
I can definitely say we all know that there's a man shortage. There are men by gender, they're males by gender, but they ain't men. So that's a totally different thing. Boys is running around screwing all these women, creating life that they ain't taking care of. Grown men are not doing that. So it's a huge difference. And
Karen,
then we have to go back
real quick. Go ahead, Corliss. Karen, let me see your face real quick.
And then we have to go into what they used to say. A piece of a man is better than no man at all. Well, the devil is a lie. And so are they for saying it, but that's what, is put out there in the atmosphere. So some women, like girl, you got how many, what? He got more than probably 13 kids, right? So if you have 5 of them and he's having children in between, girl, you worse than the cleanup woman. I'm just saying. Like she's stagnant for 1. She probably knows she can't get nobody else for 2. And just looking at her, and I ain't shaming her, but if y'all ain't seen her, this the one with the 5 kids, this is the auntie. If you have not seen her, you have to look at her and the rest of them to know something ain't right. So, yes, is he nice looking? Absolutely. Fine. But at what point are you willing to accept a fine boy because you feel like you can't get a man? And why is your self esteem that low to where you are accepting this type of behavior where you're allowing yourself to be put in the middle of it, not only with other women, but you want to fight your niece too? What? Make it make sense.
And I'm going to say this before I give it to Kara. It's a it's a low self-esteem issue is what it is. For anybody to know that's going on and feel like that's a suitable partner is definitely low self-esteem, low self-worth. And I hate to use this word because I think it's stupid, but I hear it a lot. It's a pick me mentality, right? I'm gonna be the girlfriend that's gonna put up with everything, and eventually, when he get through going through all the women in the neighborhood, he gonna choose me, right? I'm gonna put up with the most. That I think that's kind of what it is. And honestly, there is no excuse to be with a man that is like that. But again, yes, there's a lot of women who put up with that. But I want to know too. Like Kevin Samuel said, he was at first and he was talking to the men. He wasn't even talking to the women. Where are the men? Because his homeboy and the judge admonished him, his partner saw all that going on and co-signed and covered and all kind. No, a man. And she said that all these men saw him doing it. And nobody thought to say, hey, partner, who little girls are these that you rolling? So there's butt kickings to be handed out everywhere because it took all of them to have what happened to Naziah happen. So Kara, how you doing?
She muted.
You got
Oh,
mute.
sorry.
There you go.
Can you hear me? Okay. There's some things I want to add to this story that are absolutely just tragic and shameful from a perspective that unfortunately it happens a lot in our community. First of all, this trauma surrounding this man. I'm trying to not to use any of the buzzwords. Um, the trauma started on both sides. I'm not trying to excuse what Jarvis did, but he himself, if you talk about the kids, he has 22 children verified, not 13. 22. And his first child was had at 13 with his mother's friend who preyed upon him. And he has been running through ever since. Also, there was something said about the 4-year-old child that was the infection that was had, the disease. It was not his child. It was one of the women he preyed upon with small children's child that he did that to. So yes, he absolutely preyed upon uh, people with children. The person, I don't know if you guys saw the preliminary hearing. This is where I got my information from. But the person whose vehicle was used to dispose of the child, that person had to speak in that preliminary hearing as well. And if you notice, he definitely has a type, and that's where they found the child's glasses in the back seat of her car. You know, if you look at that preliminary hearing, you look at those people, he definitely had a type. Um, it is disturbing what happened, um, but I want to speak from the inference that you have not mentioned. In April of 2022, or excuse me, let me go back. February of 2022, um, Naziah's cousin was at that house and was the first child to be essayed by Jarvis. She goes upstairs. She tells Shannon, the baby mother of the 4 at the time, but now she has 5 by him, tells what happened, wants to go home. Then Shannon calls one of her other family members, a woman named Janelle. When you guys mentioned this story a year ago, I went on a YouTube sleuth and started trying to find these people on Facebook and stuff. they've been talking about this situation before the child became deceased. This is not even the first time within that same family that Jarvis did this to a child. Everybody need their behind whooped, because this person from February 2022 should have been in jail immediately right then. The Janelle, the cousin who actually initiated the CPS case, she went to the police first. They refused to take the case because they said she did not have enough information. And she was saying to the police, y'all not even gonna go check? I'm telling you what is going on in this home with multiple children in this home, including one of Shannon's children, has alleged SA by Jarvis. Why are you not going to go check? Every form of the system failed all of those children. The cousin who is the child of the, because Shannon is a twin. The cousin is the daughter of the other twin. And it's really ridiculous that it even got to the point with Naziah knowing that this person was already doing this within the family. And I also want to mention Naziah's mother, because I saw that she was, people were doing interviews and stuff, and somebody interviewed her on YouTube. She was one of the first people when her daughter, even though she was strung out and all of that, she was boots on the ground trying to find her child. And it's so crazy that even through all of that, what she had going on, I'm sorry, I got a phone call. But she still had the mental faculty to try to find her child. You know, she was knocking on everybody's doors. She was frantic. She was addressing her mother. And then it comes out that the mother allowed her husband to SA her when she was a child, which is how she ended up on drugs. This is a terrible story, and the entire family is a complete and total failure. And I just, after finding all of that out, you are absolutely right, Demetra. If they don't go to jail for their complicity, then I don't know what to do in a justice system such as this. I don't even know how, after the 4-year-old, how he even got out of prison. That is something that should mandate 25 years or better. This is a 4-year-old. How does that happen?
It happens because that's the system. Unfortunately, like Corliss said, there's been that to really kind of think about it, Biden is talking about pardoning. You know, some men who have been in a federal prison today, I guess he's supposed to try to do it. 2,500 men supposed to be getting a federal pardon for drugs, and they've been in there. And yet Jarvis is just able to, you know, roam free throughout the neighborhood. Now I see somebody on Thunder. I'm gonna get your question because I see you raising a lot of good questions. I don't want to let those go by. Raising the issue about a pick me. I don't really know what it means because I don't run in those circles. But I've been actually called a pick me before. And I guess like someone was saying, I guess it's supposed to mean a woman who is traditional and is in cooperation with men. So maybe I misapplied the term. The term I really want to use, I can't really use it on here because I would not be able to do that and get away with it. Thunder, you raise a lot of excellent points that it does happen to men often. Matter of fact, my sister sent me a clip of Richard Pryor telling the story to Barbara Walters about him getting an older woman pregnant when he was 14, and then it turns out that the woman was his daddy's side piece. You know, so this happens to men, or I want to say men, boys a lot. It happens to boys. I know of many men who said their first time was with a grown woman. I tell y'all a story about all the time about my friend. Said when he was 13, his girl he went to school with, mom was 36 years old, would meet him at the bus stop every day and take him home and, you know, SA him. Now, in his mind, he thought this is cool. This is old, older woman. But in essence, she was SAing him, if you will. So that does need a conversation. Your other question in regards to the nuclear family, and you said specifically, let me find it. You say, where'd it go? It says, do you think that an intact traditional nuclear family, oops, there we go, nuclear family with a functioning father and mother, do you think that like something like this would happen? Yes, it happens all the time. It don't matter what type of family it is, whatever, because intact families, because that's the word you use, intact families, that stuff happens all the time. Sometimes the mama marries a pervert. Sometimes the daddy marries a pervert. It happens all the time. It happens in the church. It happens everywhere, right? A lot of times we hear about these intact families, and then when you pull back the drapes, it's like, really? So yes, it can happen. It's a sickness.
Yeah, and let me add to that real quick. With what's going on today, with everybody you haven't got to have two incomes to work. Dad's probably working two jobs. Mom's probably working a job and a half, plus raising the children and raising her family in a nuclear family. Who has time to pay attention to what their children are doing out there? This is all by design. So I think it is possible, even if you have to, in today's society, because people are struggling just to make it every damn day, it is possible to have mother and father in the home technically, but who the hell's paying attention? The minute dad goes home, he has his piece of chicken, he sleeps for 4 hours, he's back on the job, at the other job. So I agree. It happens.
And let me say this, because Carlos, I know what you're gonna say. I ain't gonna say it all. I'm gonna let you say something. There was one time I worked 3 jobs. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if a hair on my daughter's head was harmed, I would know, because that's how in tune my daughter was my job. She was my number one job. All the other jobs was after that. You know what I mean? So I think some of that is, a lot of times people are just checked out. They're not in tune to their children. How do you give your baby, whether it's a boy or a girl, a bath every day and not know somebody messing with them? You know what I mean? So Corliss?
So 2-parent household, even when they weren't working, right? But we can go back 1960s, 1950s, Little House on the Prairie. 2-parent households, and the daddy was sneaking and creeping, rubbing her thigh inappropriately in front of the mama. And some of the mamas sit right at the table and serve him dinner and know he over there like Precious Mama in the movie. Oh, she want my man. No, you over here trying to keep a man at home. So you gonna serve him, feed him, iron his clothes, and let him screw your little girl or your little boy. So this has been going on. This ain't just started because the economy sky high. When they was at Nellie's store getting some flour on Little House on the Prairie, they was still doing this. They doing it now in Mississippi, just making it legal.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, in today's world where parents are quick to give their kids tablets to raise, the kids are being raised by the tablets and what they see on TV because the parents are checked out. This new generation, it's almost 100% feasible that this stuff is going on, because the parenting today is not the same as it was back in the day where your parents could put their hands on you and the government was co-signing on it for you to do it. Now you do that. They want to lock the parents up and all this other stuff. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement. It's just in regards to, it's always been going on, like Corliss has said. I'm just saying now, I think it's way more prevalent now because people are just doing what, they surviving, whatever. They're not paying attention. Oh, here's son, here's a tablet. Oh, you're a gamer. Here's a PlayStation. Everybody's checked out. So I mean, they didn't have much distraction back in our day. Now, Demetra, back in the Stone Age, when you were there wasn't a lot of there wasn't a lot of distraction back then. But think of all the distraction that we have now, and we expect these kids to have a chance. I just don't see it.
Let me say this, and I actually want to address two questions, and Thunder, I'm gonna get right back to you. Where is this one at? And hello to everybody that I did not say hello to. Yellow is the color of sun rays. You say it's a waste. You can't get rich working multiple jobs. Unfortunately, I wasn't trying to get rich. I was trying to pay the bills. This was in the 90s. I had a lot going on, and I worked 3 jobs eventually where I ended up needing to work 1. But that was an absolute must. And that was in the 90s, right? And people in 2025 working 90 jobs, just to put peanuts on the table. So I wasn't trying to get rich. Thunder, and you say, okay. You say, I said functional, that means not harming children. Got you. And not harming their spouses, or this is an impossibility, or is this an impossibility? And we should just not have children or families because in your answer it's unavoidable. So yeah, functional. That I say functional, as y'all know, one of my favorite subjects is philosophy. How do we know, right? Because one definition of functional might mean something else. You know what I mean? There's people running around doing that to babies, thinking they're functional, and they weave in and out of our communities. They're the most upstanding people by appearance's sake, right? They're some of the most upstanding people you'll ever meet, and then you see their face flash across the news. This person has been picked up for child pornography, you know what I mean, or whatever the case is. So functional is subjective, you know what I mean. What I'm saying is it could happen anywhere, to any community, to anybody. And the unfortunate part is a lot of times people don't know until they know, and when they find out, it's often too late. And I want to say this to Donovan. I'm gonna give it to Corliss and Kara. I'm gonna give it back to you. I don't know. I just tend to think we probably know more about it now due to the news cycle, due to social media, and just hearing about things. But this stuff, yeah, it's I don't think it's getting worse. If it might be, I can see maybe a little bit for other reasons I won't get into right here. But I think it's always been this level. I think it's always been the same. I just think the exposure is what we are learning more about now. But I think children being abused, you got to remember too, back in the day, it was normal. There weren't, that's not, I mean, Corliss said, there's laws going on in the book in Mississippi where cousins can marry each other, right? There's still a lot of states in the states where it's legal to marry children. So back then it was just, we know this is the term they would use. We know he go with them young girls. That was he go on with them young girls, and everybody's kind of, what's new? What juke joint we going to tonight? So we just hear more about it, and I think because we're speaking more about it and giving it the conversation it deserves, and it being grotesque, that kids are preyed upon in this way. I think we're a little bit more aware. Corliss?
I don't know if you guys have seen this other story. These are not Black children, but they are children adopted by a gay couple. They were selling these 3 children. One of them is, I think he's nonverbal, if I'm not mistaken.
You talking about the white dudes that had to?
Yeah,
I know exactly. Oh, girl.
So that's what I'm saying. The system, like, people play with CPS and they think it's a game, but children are more in danger in CPS than they are in their own home. And people really don't understand it because they've never dealt with children's services. They don't look into children's services. They make it look very pleasant. Oh, we're here to help the children and the family. And baby, look here. I don't know how some of them social workers go home, go to sleep, eat, do none of the stuff they do, knowing the things that they allow to happen to children. They're negligent on a 9 to 5, 10 to 2, whatever it is, and whatever shift they on, going into the system. You're dealing with people that are deemed mandated reporters, but they allow negligence at their own hands, and they get away with it. And it's sad, but it's very true. And like I said, the system will not change until we get up off our behind. And it ain't just about voting people in and letting them speak. It's about showing up. Because damn it, I'm going to show up. They don't like when I come. Because I'm going to have my mouth open and I'm going to speak because it needs to be heard. And who's going to speak for the children if you don't have CPS workers that will? These kids report this stuff to these workers and they do absolutely nothing. Nothing. So it's like, how do you get, and I had to tell them too. I have a granddaughter that's, want to say she's 13. I watched the CPS worker lie. I took them the paper and showed it to them. They didn't do nothing. The little boy in Palmdale, California, Gabriel, had the same social worker my granddaughter had that I proved to be a liar. The little boy was unalived by his mother's boyfriend and the mother. And they now, after I think it's been about 5 years maybe, lost their job. Just now, 5 years ago, you've been doing this. My grandbaby 13, she was a newborn when this happened. So it took you 18 years to go back because not one kid died, but two children died because you gave the child back to an abusive parent. Like, I need us to make sense of what goes on with the system and not only speak up and be a voice. We have to be a community. We have to show up for these kids because they don't have nobody showing up for them.
Kara?
You're absolutely right, CJ. And you know what's crazy? Even when mandated reporters like teachers and healthcare workers report it, they still will not take children from a lot of these dangerous households. There's been so many cases, so many, and I remember that case that you were referring to with the little boy who was unalived. His mother also had a role to play in his death, not just the boyfriend. And she was sentenced appropriately. And I think that, you know, as many times you hear about CPS taking children from people, it seems like they're taking them from the wrong people. Unfortunately, it's like a lot of times when they take children from certain homes, you just wonder, like, why are they doing that? Like, what is going on? And you have, you know, SA running wild, particularly in our community. 60% of our girls are SA'd or in some form of abuse before the age of 18. These numbers don't lie, which coincide with the kidnappings, the missing children. All of that is a part of the problem, and they will not do anything appropriately about it. And I believe that that plays a lot into the trafficking issue in this country. That is a big problem, and Black women and Black girls are the number one group that are trafficked. So, you know, I don't want to make this a race issue because it's an issue for all women, but in our community, it is extremely bad. And this situation with that particular child should not have happened on so many fronts. They had so many opportunities to address the situation. And in my opinion, if they had handled it in 2022 when the first situation happened in that particular family dynamic, she would still be alive and thriving today. So that's where the system failed. And I do believe they were saying that one of the teachers that was a mandated teacher actually did report something in 2022 as well, and it was not responded to in this particular case that we're talking about. So it's a sad situation all around, and this is where we as a community do have to stand up and hold their feet to the fire, because like I said, you know, they will take children from other parents that are not even harming their children. If they miss doctor's appointments, there's so many different things that they use to take children away. And when it comes to, it seems like extreme violence, they're always hesitant, or they're placing them in situations with family members that they shouldn't. So yeah, thank you for you guys for letting me speak. I'm gonna step down and let y'all speak to somebody else. Y'all have a good one. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Karen. Please come back and see us again.
Let me say this really quick. So when she says they take children from parents that they should not, my daughter, my youngest daughter, was I want to say she's in the 6th grade, making fake profile pages, okay, using my daughter, her older sister's pictures, so she catfishing. Wanna hang out with one of the little girls that she met at school. Her mama at work, so she out run the streets at all times at nighttime. And that's one thing I didn't play. You don't run my house, I run my spot, right? So if I call you and I say, "Where are you?" because you're not in my house when you supposed to be, I'm gonna be in the streets and I'm pulling up, right? And that's exactly what I did. So then my daughter got smart. She thought she was gonna leave the house. So the older daughter, whose profile picture she was using as her profile, two-pieced her. So when I came home, I two-pieced her too. She said, "Oh, I'm gonna call the people." I told her, "Call them." I ain't give a damn because I know my rights at the end of the day. And I feel like this. If I didn't whoop her ass at home and they whooped her ass in the street, you think I'm gonna be standing on the corner talking about, "Oh, the police"? Hell and no, because that's my job, right? I'm not gonna give anybody else the right to whoop my kids' ass. I ain't say beat them. I didn't say knock their teeth out. I didn't say lock them up. I said whoop their ass like we used to get our ass whooped because we came out really good. And I was a little disrespectful kid too, but I knew damn well I wasn't gonna ever tell my mother I was gonna call CPS. So I let her call CPS, right? My kids didn't miss school. All of them are high school graduates. Two of them in going, one back in college, and the other one doing something with himself too. And there's seven of them. But I let them take her. They called me. They said, "Oh, we gonna take her." She said you. I had a glass of wine and told them good day. Cause see, when you think it's prettier over there on that side, life gonna teach you. See, CPS will butter it up. "Oh, we'll buy you this and we'll do this. And your mother has no right to do this." No, the law states I don't have a right to abuse my kid. It didn't ever say I didn't have the right to discipline my kid, right? So she get over there in the system. Now this the system. They giving her all these different medications, psych meds, because you get more money for kids that are on psych medication. You have people that are handling children and their drugs that they're giving them that are not licensed, cannot tell you which drugs don't mix with this one. Not going to school. My kids didn't miss school. I made sure they was at school. Because one thing you gonna do is do what you have to do. My baby missed the whole time she was there. I think she was there 4 months. Out of 4 months, she went to school 2 days. How? In the care of CPS. Oh, and this ain't something I'm just saying. I got proven documentation still to this day, and she 21. Because I got a lawsuit against the county of Los Angeles. She got assaulted in their care. It is prison the pipeline. "Oh, well, we're gonna put her on probation for protecting herself." I said, "The hell you will. Not on my watch, you won't." But these kids come out the system with records because they ain't watching them either. How is it that my daughter calls me and tells me she's on a train at 2 o'clock in the morning and then went AWOL from placement in Los Angeles and she on a train and she hungry in the care of CPS? And then you want to say, "Oh, well, we have to call the worker first." No, you should have called me because I'm still her mother at the end of the day. And this is what people deal with CPS. But because they are afraid to speak up, they are afraid to open their mouth because you already have what they consider an open case. And if you speak up, then you're belligerent. You're angry. You bitter. You need to go to counseling. No. Y'all educated, but you're ignorant. Because more kids die in the system than half of them that's dying at home. So it's like, when do we as parents that have children in CPS buck the system? Because I bucked them. And I won my baby back. They hurried up and gave her back to me. Because I told the psychiatrist that was giving her medications, you never called me to ask me to put my child on medication, right? You give her another pill, I'll have your license snatched so fast, you'll speak regular English instead of that accent. And I meant just that. So yes, it's parents that don't know how to fight the system, but you cannot be lax when it comes to the system because they are not always right. And if one person don't listen, you better keep rattling that chain until somebody open their door and they listen. Because eventually somebody will listen because they don't want their business aired out like naked ass. You can't just sit back and let people just railroad you and do what they want to do. So, okay, we back in 2022, nobody listen. So do we stop talking because ain't nobody listening? Somebody has to listen. You make people listen. You make yourself known. You make it a president. Because I'm sure something was going on well before 2022. She wasn't the first victim.
No, absolutely. That Donovan, you got anything to say? I see you repping the African Diaspora News Channel banner behind you.
Yeah, I gotta do it. These are the people I rock with. I gotta rock with. I just want to make sure everybody also remembers to download the African Diaspora News Channel app. I believe when I first got this story, I got it from the African Diaspora News Channel app. I think, Dimitri, you had put the story up, or somebody had put the story up through
I think
there.
I covered it on here, maybe on there as well.
Yeah, I think Emancipation Channel or something like that, real quick. So again, if you haven't done that yet, the African Diaspora News Channel app, shameless plug, but again, this is where you get news and information in regards to what is happening to Black people around the world. So, I just have this question, and I like I said, we can all agree when it comes to children, depending on what the circumstance is. My mother was a widow, okay? So you could be a single parent sometimes by circumstance or whatever the deal is. My question for you, Demetra and Corliss, is should we start putting back emphasis on marriages and prioritizing marriage with our young people versus single parenthood?
Obviously, I think we should advocate for marriage. But as I said, in this case, I don't think marriage is the problem because this stuff happens in marriages too. I think the problem is apathy and acceptance. And I don't want to, I care more about the predator than I do the children. You know what I mean? And it's not just a woman who may have a boyfriend. Sometimes it's the grandmama, no, the uncles is doing it to, to get, it's the dynamics are all over the place, right? So I think it's more, we need more Corlysses. We need more people to say, I don't give a damn how you feel, who he is, what she is. I don't care. I'm telling, and I'm going to keep telling. Because my mom, she had the same, she says, you go until you get the last no. Which means is if you go and say, hey, something ain't right at 1222 Grape Street. And they say, well, it's unsubstantiated, right? Because that's the language they use at CPS. Oh, it's unsubstantiated, which means we didn't find anything. But something is going on. Then you keep going. You knock on everybody's door. And at the last resort is what I said in the beginning. As I said about my daddy different, cut from a different cloth. I'm leave it at that, okay? You know what I'm saying? Because in a lot of these cases, the police would be like, oh, we ain't heard about it. The perpetrator mom would be like, well, I haven't seen my son. I haven't seen him around. No, we ain't seen your son. And and he at the bottom of the swamp some damn where. That's like Maya Angelou. One of her stories, I think is I Know Why the Cage Birds Sing. She said when she was 6 years old, a friend of the family did something so horrific to her, where it hospitalized her. She said she was incoherent. She was in and out, and family members kept coming into the room. They had learned of what happened to her. So she says one day she saw a police officer standing at the door. Said, "Oh yeah, we found the dude, whoever it was, floating in the river." They asked the police, the family, "Y'all know anything about it?" And they said, "Nah." But she said, "My 6-year-old self already knew that my people took care of that." You know what I mean? So I know that the system is in place and it's supposed to be a system to help, but we all know horror stories from the foster care system, from the CPS system. Y'all know I used to go to cosmetology school when I was 18 and went to cosmetology school. And I befriended a guy. He was an instructor there. And he was, as we know now, the LGBTQ community. Now I'm 18, 19, and I asked him, in conversation, like, what happened? Like, how did you become this? I'm kind of green too, right? He says, because I was put in foster care, my sister and I, from babies. He says, and there wasn't times, and I'm trying to clean this up as much as I can. He said, oftentimes I had to do something that I didn't want to do just for a hamburger. So he says, I believe that's how I got turned out in the foster care system. And I've heard these stories more times than I can care to talk about. So the system that's supposed to protect children, they do not. So we got to come into the picture. We have to ring the alarm. We got to do everything we need to do. Because see, if my child got lost to the system due to some, erroneous, whatever the case is, I kidnap my baby. I'm just keeping it real with you. I would kidnap my baby and I will be on the lam. Y'all be looking for me. You know what I mean? I'm not going to wait for CPS to figure out what they need to do. That's just me. I'm not telling nobody else what to do. But the way to avoid this is to be aware. As I said, I work 3 jobs. But I would know if somebody did something to my baby, because for one, I'm going to know her mannerisms going to change. I give my child a bath every night. So you got to be in tune. You cannot be checked out. The other thing is for women and men, because some of you men bring women into your lives and they sexually abuse your children too. You cannot love that person or be blinded by that person to the point to where you leave them with your children. Oh, he good, she good. I know another young man, or he's a grown man now. He said his mother met a dude, went to the store. He said she wasn't gone probably 20 minutes. And by the time she went to the store and got back, that boyfriend of hers made her son do something he did not want to do. And she said he said when my mom got home, she knew right away something had happened, because he says my whole world was just turned upside down. And he said she tried to kill him. He said she sliced that from head to toe as many times as she could. Unfortunately, yeah, the man was sliced up, but her child was left with something he'll never forget. And this man is in his 50s now. She thought she was doing something innocent. I'm gonna leave my son and go to the store. He cool. So we have to be aware. As I said, I went to dental assisting school. And the one thing I took from that, because I never practiced a day in my life, is you treat every patient as though they have HIV. That's what they call treat everybody universally. So what I'm saying is you treat everybody you meet as though they're a predator until they prove that they are not, especially when they are around your young children. So we have to, there's a lot of things, and I'm going to say this too, there's no fail-proof way of avoiding that, but to avoid it. How you doing, sir? You cute, whatever. No, I got small children. You can't come into my home. No, I'm not going to leave my children with you. Now, I know sometimes it happens or whatever, but you just, as my mom says, you gotta be very cautious, because there's some things you can't walk back. Some things those children will never forget. And like I said, I could be here for days and days and days telling y'all the people I've talked to and the things that have happened to them because their mother or their father or their grandmother was too trusting with somebody who was slick talking, fast walking, or whatever the case is, right? So That's all I got to say. But let me get to one more some of these comments, and then Chorus, I'm gonna give it to you, and Donovan, I'm gonna give it to you. And we're gonna get out of here because this, and as y'all see, normally I'm smiling, I'm laughing, but this I cannot really muster a smile or really a lot of humor because as I was telling Corliss, and I said at the beginning of this, as we're speaking, there's children right now that are being abused. And as we're speaking, there's some predator who heard about Jarvis Butts. And by the way, he's like 41 or something like that. They'll hear about him and they'll continue doing it, thinking, I won't get caught. Oh, and you know what? A lot of times those people don't even think they're predators. They think it's all right. You know why? Because grandmama giving them a pass. Their girlfriend is all right with it. Everybody, the homeboys at the job, they all right with it. And I'm gonna say this to y'all too. Men can't tell y'all what to do, but if y'all get around a man and he talking about a little girl, you need to knock all his goddamn teeth out his mouth. Do not sit up there and be that man. Oh, word. Oh, for real? He telling you about something he doing inappropriate to a young girl, and you sitting up there thinking that's cool, or you may not say nothing, but he think it's all right to say that to you. Yeah, you need to bust all his teeth out, and the ones he ain't grew yet, bust them out of his mouth. That's all I'm gonna say about that before I get in trouble. And Al, you say on the Shy, how you doing? It says when Keisha was kidnapped, everyone gave up, but Ronnie found her. Yeah. And Sister Albie, you says men see women as property. We could do whatever to women from biblical times until our present time. And yeah, I don't even want to put this just on the men. There's women who are predators as well, and women often get a pass. We see it all the time online or whatever. Oh, he fine, he cute. Look at that little boy. He gonna be something when he grow up. Sexualizing the homegirls, little boys or whatever the case is, and the mama too damn dumb to even see. That's a problem. And Easy says, Sally, many of the CPS don't care. They over case, yes, underpaid and don't give a F. And that's, I think, largely the problem. There are just so many cases they can't even get to, right? So they try. And then a lot of them really don't care. So Corliss, what say you in closing?
I want you guys to find a movie called Foster Boy. Foster Boy is a true story. I can't remember what state it happened in, but it's very. I mean, because I deal with all the systems, y'all. I just do. When you got 7 kids, and I saw one person say they can't take my kid. Did you know as long as your child has a birth certificate and a social security card, the state owns your child. So, baby, from now on, if y'all don't know and you young enough to have children, you better birth them at home because that gives them all jurisdiction to your children. That's why the state can come in and take them. For those very 2 documents right there. You think I'm lying? Go read about it. It's very true. So never think they can't come and take yours. Because see, when my daughter thought it was just good. So I wasn't going to argue with you. You think it's good over there? The grass greener on the other side? But guess who she was calling? Mama, can you come? Can you come get me? Oh, now you want me to come get you? Me? Oh, the one that was disciplining you? And if the lady asked me on the witness stand, if I had to do it all over again, would I do it? Yeah, goddamn right. I'll whoop her ass right in this courtroom. I sure would. Right in front of you. Because if I don't, they will. And they gonna get a pass for killing them. Because they got a badge. So I took my badge too. Motherhood. Because I carried their asses. Right? I pushed them out. I got cut on the table. I went to the doctor's appointment. So that's my badge too. To make sure that I raise decent children. Not hoodlums. Because if they was out here running amok in the streets, oh, what kind of mother was she? Oh, where was she at? Oh, it's just another black mother and her children. And oh, she's a welfare recipient. And oh, she's this and that. But guess what? Oh, I was whooping that ass. You have to be a parent first. Now, let me say this. I was not the best parent. I was young having kids. So I was a kid having kids, right? I made a lot of errors in being a child. A child raising kids. But at the end of the day, I'd be damned if I was going to be out anywhere with a sign because you didn't kill my kids because I didn't show up when I needed to. Now, I ain't show up all the time. But when CPS came knocking, I was the one that gave them a run for their money. And they didn't like me because I was not afraid of them. Well, we'll take your kids and I'm going to keep showing up. And I made them take me to trial. I wasn't signing nothing. So for y'all that don't know, let me fill you in on a little something. When CPS shows up at your door, Child Protective Services, unless they come to your house with a warrant served with your name, and if you can't read, you better get somebody that can. You do not have to open your door and allow them to come in and speak to you. You do not have to allow them to see your children. That is the law across all 50 states. I don't give a damn how they come at you, try to scare you, nothing. Don't let their asses up in there because they don't have no right to. And stay your ass on the public street. Because if you bring your ass on my property, I'm going to see you back to the sidewalk like I had to do several times. See, when they show up and you don't know, you allow them to come in. And then they'll tell you, oh, just sign right here. And you don't even know you done signed the whole contract saying that you finna do everything that they got marked off on this list because you don't understand what the hell you signed. I didn't sign nothing. So that made me angry and belligerent. Well, guess what? I'd rather be angry and belligerent, but you ain't gonna tie me into no contract saying that I'm finna go do all this to get my kid back. So y'all need to learn the basic laws for people that have children under the age of 18. And if you have children or you plan on having children in the United States, get you a birthing mother to come out and have your kids at home. And don't let them tell you that you can't. We had midwives for years. Don't get your kids no birth certificate, no social security card so you can get some damn income taxes because we ain't supposed to be taxing no damn way. Have a good evening, y'all.
Thank you, Corliss. Donovan, in closing.
Yes, it's hard to close after that. Like I said, cannot be said better by somebody who's giving you actual real world experience, who's been there, done that, and is going to talk to you real. Corliss has always been a real person, young mother. She's been through the experience and still going through some things, I would imagine, in regards to her young family. But again, and great advice, never let any government official in your home. Never let any government official in your home unless they have a warrant. So, and it has to be a specific warrant. It has to be very specific. So read the warrant. Don't even let them on your stoop. Have them go by the window and show you up to the window, and you read it before you let them in. So that's always great advice to do that. But I want to say this as we close out. We have all these men that keep saying, well, I will die for mine. I'll kill somebody for mine. I'll do this. I'll do that. Right. Or delete, somebody for mine. But yet we have men, as Demetra says, that will let a woman keep him from his children. But he'll die for his child if anything ever happens to his child. But yet he will let the baby mama keep him from his children. Fellas, we're supposed to be the leaders out here. And ladies, I know you guys aren't going to agree with this. We are supposed to be the leaders. We are ordained by God to be the leaders. And yet we are letting these women go out there, lead these children, and do everything that they're doing on their own. And then we want to be mad at them when the outcome isn't what we think it should be if we were involved. Well, Negro, why weren't you involved? Oh, she won't let me see my kids. Demetra says it all the time, and it makes sense. What you mean a woman won't let you see your children? She got me in the child support system. To take your ass on down to the child support system and fight the battle you need to fight until it's over. We got to do better, fellas, as men, in regards to our children, because I'm a firm believer And there are some men out there that are really good men. I'll give you a good example. My brother, as much as my brother's in the classic cars and doing the DJ Quick thing, you could not find him without his 2 daughters in the back of his classic car, in the car seat, jamming DJ Quick as he goes down the street. Because he wasn't going to let anything happen to his daughters on his watch. Fellas, you got to remember, those are our children. The women are the seed. We are the one that put the children in there. That's why a lot of women say, oh, those are his kids. Those are his kids. Those are our kids. It's their kids too. Don't get me wrong. But those are our children. Those are our legacies. Those kids usually carry our name. They don't carry the mother's name back in the day in the traditional sense. I got to admonish the men. We have to be more involved in our children's lives, male and female. Because if we're not, and we're not vigilant about what we are doing in our kids' lives and questioning the mom and all this other stuff, the less likely, and I'm not a predator, but I do have a degree in sociology. A predator looks at somebody who could be preyed on. They don't look at, there's no way, if I was a predator and I'm looking at a woman like Corliss, there is no way I would even attempt to mess with her children, because she looks like she will be a honey badger and fight the hell out of me and all that other stuff. Okay? You got to apply wisdom to this. So what I'm saying is, fellas, yes, I'm on the show and I'm always talking about what the men should be doing, what the men should be doing. We're in a patriarchy. All of these things are true. They're true. But at the same time, we have to take responsibility for these things that happen within our community. We know Ray Ray's doing what he's doing. Yes, we do know it. Brother, look, I hear you got a thing for that. You better carry your ass over to the DR. You better carry your ass over to the red light district in Amsterdam and handle your business, but you ain't going to be doing that here. We got to take more responsibility in what we're doing in our community. Too many excuses, too many of this. Well, the women are doing this. I ain't falling for that anymore. Fellas, we need to take the community back. I'm not saying the women didn't do a good job, but we're the leaders. We got to take the responsibility. A lot of this stuff that's happening in our community is because we are absent.
Amen and amen. Yes, Damon, how you doing? You said I would kick some ass too, and then I kick it again just on Sunday. Yeah, and I don't think I need to say much more than that. Anybody knows me knows I am an advocate for the children. As I said, I've been in public and seen children being abused, and I'm like, today is the day I'm going to jail. I mean, like when I first moved out here, I saw that in the store. A mother hit her, slapping her son. Baby couldn't have been no more than 2, 3. And I was like, don't you ever. Everybody in the store was like, what the hell? And I guess she was with her mom. And I'm like, you see her doing that? And that's all right with you? My daughter was like, here she go. But because I envision myself and I see stuff like that, I'm like, I'm going to jail today. But you know what? I don't mind. I ain't never been to jail, but I will go today if it means protecting somebody that cannot protect themselves. Now, I don't know. I hope not. One day, maybe somebody will take me up on that, but I just never been the type of person to be like, well, that ain't my business. I'm just going to go on and just do it. That ain't my child. Nah, because when we change our mindset, they are our children. We got to get back to that village too. See, that's really kind of the missing element is that village. We are living in a time now. You see something, the most you'll do is peep out of your drapes. That ain't my problem. And go back to doing what you're doing. Back in the day, I'll tell you the story. My mama got smart with the lady around the corner. She said, around the corner, lady slapped her face, said, slap the gum out of her mouth. And by the time she got home, her mama heard about it and she got slapped again. So I'm not saying we should be violent, but the point is the village made sure that the children were respectful and they were protected. Like everybody kind of, work in tandem. So we got to get back to that and stop ignoring the things that we see. In church, they call it your spirit man. Women, we call it a woman's intuition. And I suppose men call it the sixth sense, right? And when your spirit is bothered, you see certain things, that don't mean for you to keep ignoring it. Nah. That means for you to, you know what? As I tell people all the time, I would rather you be 100% wrong than even 10% right. Be 100% wrong. Say, you know what? I'm wrong, but at least my conscience is clear and that it wasn't what I thought it was. Because that right there is what gets us kind of, you hear a lot of people, I knew something wasn't right, but I just didn't. Say it anyway. Be the one that have to be apologized. I'm sorry, but I just want to make sure, you know, whatever. So anyway, we could be here forever. I love and appreciate every last one of y'all. Facts, not feelings. I see your comments. I think you I don't know if you went to the beginning of what we're talking about, but anyway, I hope that Naziah Harris gets justice. Again, they have not found her body up until this moment anyway. And I hope Jarvis, I don't know if Michigan has a death penalty. I don't want them to give it to him. I want them to give him life. And I want them to parade him around in all the cell blocks and G-string draws every day and keep him on the brink of death. Take him to the infirmary, patch him all up, and then give him a fresh new pair of drawers and heels to walk all throughout the penitentiary until he's like 100 years old. That's what I wish for him, because I know that's what the judge wanted to say, you know, and anybody like him, whether it's a man or woman, I wish that for them every day of their life, and they can experience what it's like to be groomed for real. Anyway, we'll see y'all on Sunday. Yes, Facts Not Feelings. Please watch it because I think it kind of I get where you're going, but yeah. Anyway, I love and appreciate every last one of y'all. We'll see y'all on Sunday. Peace.